Confident Eaters. Happy Thursday. We have a special guest today who is Laura Conley. Laura is a weight loss coach and she's here to help free the moms. So, Laura, I'll let you take over and introduce yourself more.
Thank you so much for having me. First of all, Amber. Second of all, I'm Laura Conley, and I help moms lose weight for the last time from a place of love and ease and fun. And this was all born after having my daughter. And I was beating myself up for not bouncing back into my pre baby jeans, quote unquote, fast enough. And I remember I had just stepped out of the shower. I was like butt naked. My perfect baby daughter was like staring up at me from the bassinet. And I was like, this has to stop now. Otherwise, I'm going to pass this down to her. I had really defeat prior to having her. I thought I'm just going to always yo-yo. This will just like always be my thing. Like, and it's not that big of a deal because, it's not like I have a major anxiety disorder or anything. It's not like, it was like, this isn't that big of a problem. But in that moment, I was like, no, this is a big problem. I don't want her to struggle like I struggled with food and my body. And so I like vowed in that moment to heal my relationship with food and my body. And just to be real frank, I also did want to lose a baby weight. I just refused to do it the way that I had lost weight in the past, which was basically to starve myself. And so I went down rabbit hole after rabbit hole and like finally feel like I cracked the code on what I thought there wasn't a code to. And really for her and for me, because I knew that even if I could say all the right things, I would still pass it down to her because I know kids are so smart. So I knew she would pick up if I like turned away from my husband when he's grabbing me in the kitchen, or like I knew she would notice me trying on 17 different outfits and being disgusted at my reflection in the mirror. Like I knew she'd pick up on that. And I was like, I want to heal this for her because it doesn't have to be this way. So
Mhm.
that's a little bit of like the background of how the Yummy Mummy, which is my brand, how it was born. And once I finally solved it for myself, which I kind of still can't believe, it had this moment where I was standing in the pool with my daughter, having so much fun being in the pool with her. And I looked around and I noticed that there were just, like, dozens of moms, like, I don't know, they looked like in my head, like, handcuffed to the chaise lounges, like, whether or not they wanted to play with their kids in the pool is one thing, but if they had wanted to, it's like so many of these moms are trapped in their cover-ups when maybe they do wanna go down the water slide, or maybe they do wanna live life bigger and bolder than they are. So, it
Mhm.
became my mission to free the moms and to give every mom the gift that I had given myself. I was already a coach at the time, so I was like, "I'm gonna niche down. I'm gonna let go of all of my other kind of, like, regular life coaching clients and, like, go full on into this space," and that was, like, almost 8 years ago.
I love
So,
it.
yeah.
And that's why I wanted Laura to come on and talk is because I see so many people who come into my world and into my program who are moms. And one of their biggest reasons that they want to change their eating habits and really solve the food struggle for good is because they notice that they're maybe starting to pass down their habits to their kids, or they just don't want their daughters to go through the same 10, 20-year struggle with food that they've just had. And they have this
Mhm,
moment of realizing, oh my gosh, this is so much bigger than me now. This is something that's
mhm.
probably generational, that my mom struggled with this, my grandma struggled with this, my great grandma struggled with this.
Yeah,
And I want to put an end to this. I want it to stop with me. And I don't want to have, my daughter or son growing up without this healthy relationship with food. And
yeah.
so I think it's just such a common thing. But what do you think are some of these common struggles that moms might deal with a little bit more in particular than just another normal
Yeah.
person?
Yeah, I think moms, like, we're so busy. I don't know any mom, not that women that don't have children aren't busy, like, I'm not saying that, but it's just an added layer and it's one more thing to take care of, right? And so what happens is we put ourselves at the bottom of the list and we're taking care of everyone else. We're taking care of our careers if we have one. We're taking care of our home. We're taking care of maybe our partnership or our marriage, our friendships. And so we're at the bottom of the list and we're not filling our cups up. I mean, it's a little bit cliche, but we're not putting our oxygen masks on because our culture tells us that a good mom serves others first. And so then we're at the bottom of the list without our oxygen masks on, with our cups completely empty. And so what do? We find the pantry at 9:30 p.m. because we do need some pleasure. Like, I mean, you talk about this, but our lower brains are like dopamine seeking missiles. Like, they are going to find a dopamine hit. And because we're at the bottom of our list, we're not being proactive about it. And so, of course, we're going to find the ice cream. Of course, we're going to find the freaking cheddar bunnies because we do need some dopamine. We do need comfort or pleasure or whatever it is that we're looking for in the pantry that's not actually in the pantry. And so I think it gets harder and harder for moms because it's kinda like the Barbie monologue. It's like, how am I supposed to be a good mom? But then I'm also supposed to, like, look a certain way and weigh a certain weight, and it's like, it's impossible to fulfill all of culture's expectations, and so I think it's part of our not only our right, but our responsibility actually as moms to put ourselves number 1 on the list, which can
Mhm.
feel really scary and unsafe in a world that doesn't celebrate that. Like, I can tell you, like, I know there's other women and moms that are, like, mad at me for putting me on the list or on the top of the list because they don't feel like they have the permission to do that. And so I'm willing to be, like, audacious and out there and being like, "No, you can take care of yourself." And in fact, I believe it's your responsibility because what is the messaging then there for our kids that, oh, like,
Mhm.
especially my daughter, like, yes, I am so, like, crazy adamant that my daughter has a healthy relationship, if she wants one, with her body and food, but what I care about even more is that she's not being sold this mommy martyrdom norm because God forbid she becomes a mom and then can't put herself on the list. Like, that is just so painful to even think about. So I do feel like it's my responsibility for myself and for her to put myself and my son too at the top of the list, filling my cup up, being really intentional with how I get comfort and pleasure and rewards and all of that.
Yeah.
So,
And I think just as women too, like beyond just being a mom, we're all socialized that like as a woman, you're meant to take care of everyone else. And whether that shows up of putting your job before your own needs or putting your family before your own needs or your kids or your friendships or your partner, like everyone else tends
yeah,
to come first before us. And we're taught that that's just like the selfless thing to do. But really, it just makes everything so much harder for us. And then we don't show up in how we
yeah,
want to. So can you tell
yeah,
us like what specifically would that look like when you're saying to fill up your pleasure cup and to put yourself first? Like what does that look like in a day-to-day life of maybe
yeah.
where a mom might be right now and what they should be like to be putting themselves first?
Yeah, well, I think it's different for every individual. First, if you are eating food when you're not hungry, ask yourself, like, why? And just guess. You might not get an answer right away, but like, just guess. Like, are you having any fun in your life? Do you enjoy your life? Like, do you like a random Tuesday in July or Thursday in August? Like, are you enjoying your life? Do you have comforts? Do you have pleasures? And get, like, really curious and then see, okay, if I'm in the pantry at 9:30 because I want a little reward, I want a treat, or I want something fun, I want something good about my day, like, you're looking maybe for a little bit of pleasure or comfort. What are other ways you can give yourself pleasure or comfort? You can look to your childhood. You can look to friends that you're jealous of. I can give you examples now, but it's really helpful to get to know yourself because, yes, I can give you a prescription of like, you need to go on a walk every day for 20 minutes or whatever. But like the real like solve is what do I like? What do I need? And like living into the question. You don't have to know all of the answers yet, but it's one big experiment. And so, like, for me, I was using food for pleasure and for fun and for a little reward and because I was a little bored. And so I'm like, okay, how can I solve for this? And so what do I like? I like massages. And like, no, you can't get a massage every day. I really at this point can't even, I mean, it's a choice, but I choose to not get one every week. But I definitely do make it a point to have a spa day and to have the hard conversation with my husband of like, I need a spa day. Like, you can suck it up and roll your eyes at me, fine, but, like, I'm gonna be willing to have my own back and, like, advocate for myself. Now, my husband is not really pretty cool, but I just am calling that out in case your husband or your partner or the person in your life isn't gonna like this change
Mhm.
because some of our people aren't gonna like it when we put ourselves on the list or at the top of the list because then they get moved down. So there can be consequences, and that is why so many moms and women just keep doing what they've been doing because they're scared and they don't feel like it's safe. And we can get into that more later, but there's a whole thing that I talk about, which is people pleasing eating. But to go back to answer the original question, like, I know I need to, like, it's so basic, but like, I have to go outside in the sunshine and walk every day, even if it's just 10 minutes, even if my brain's like 10
Yeah.
minutes isn't going to do anything. Like, I have to get outside. I have to get in the sun. I have to walk outside. I have to move my body. My husband, even, will be like, you seem like you're a little like cranky and feisty. Like, do you need to go work out? Like, so moving my body for me, that is self care for me because I don't do it for weight maintenance or weight loss. I actually think it's like the worst way to lose weight. We could talk about that too. But my point is, I move my body for self care to take care of myself, even though I feel guilty. And it's not my guilt, it's culture's guilt. I hand that cultural guilt back to culture because culture tells us, society or socialization tells us, like, oh my God, I can't go to yoga. I should be hanging out with my kids. I should be making them freaking homemade snacks, like whatever. And it's like, ugh, I do feel guilty. That's not mine. That's culture's. I need to go to yoga. I'm willing to actually feel a little bit of guilt and show myself that it's safe to go to yoga and then come home and watch myself be a better mom. So
Mhm.
you'll start to build the muscle if you do decide to fill your cup up with pleasurable things or comforting things. It's going to feel scary at first and probably guilt inducing at first, and that's okay. That's normal. I would not wait for the guilt to go away before you start filling your cup up because it will never go away. It's going to be there. So yeah, like asking yourself, what did I love to do? Like for me, I loved when I was a little kid, I loved to be outside. Okay. So I know that about myself. So again, hiking, biking, walking, massages, being with friends. Like I love to go out to dinner. It's like my favorite thing. So I'm constantly planning dinners. I'm constantly planning coffee dates. I'm constantly planning time with I'm like 145% extroverted. So like I need human connection that is not just my husband or my kids. Like I have to meet with friends. So I know these things about myself and so I'm really stupid intentional about it. And I'm a psycho planner and I plan my fun and my comfort and my pleasure before I plan my work. And so yeah, I don't know if that answers your question, like,
Yeah.
thoroughly enough, but, yeah, I would ask you, like, to the audience, ask yourself, like, "What do I need?" And be willing to listen, and it's okay if there's a little guilt. And if you can't do it for yourself, do it for your kids because you are the role model.
Absolutely. I love that question that you asked though of, am I even having fun with my life? Because I feel like that will be a very clear answer of, whether you have things that are filling up your pleasure cup or not, and then getting really honest about that. One reason that moms take it all on is because they don't want to ask their partner for help. Like people will say, "Oh my gosh, you don't
Mhm.
even have 5 minutes for me." And I'm like, well, where's the husband or the wife? The other person in this relationship
Yeah.
that you have. So if someone is in that position where they are like, I just am scared to have that conversation with my partner. I'm nervous to ask to go out with my girlfriends this night or to ask for a couple more hours to just like relax or rest or get a massage. How would you suggest they approach that conversation?
Yeah, I think it's so good. It's such a good question because I know so many women face this, especially when they've sort of built a construct in their marriage or in their partnership of like, this is kind of how it is, right? And then we're playing by these rules and we're playing these roles without ever being conscious about them. A lot of times we just fall into these patterns and habits that maybe our parents laid out for us, or maybe culture laid out, or community, or whatever. And so, again, it's can you feel the fear and do it anyways? Can you feel the guilt and do it anyways? I would not wait until you are not afraid to have the conversation. I would put your hands on your heart and say, like, I am brave. I can do this. And I would share that. Like, I'm somebody that's just such an open book. And I would be like, I'm so scared to bring this up to you. But like, I have to because I'm not living the life that I want to. Going back to,
Mhm.
are you having any fun in your life? Like, this gets real meta and real, like, creepy real fast, but I love to practice what the Buddhists practice, which is contemplating death and thinking about, like, if this was my last day, would I like this day? Or,
Mhm.
like, asking yourself, like, what is the point of life? And I really do believe the point of life is to connect with other humans and to have fun. I know that sounds, like, really silly and cheesy and maybe, like, frivolous for a lot
Not
of people,
at
but, like,
all.
yeah, I really believe that it's to love your people, to be loved, to have a kick-ass time, and, like, to go out with a bang. And so, like, if you ask yourself, like, "What is the point of life, and am I doing that?" It will build your confidence or your courage at least to have that conversation. And if
Mhm.
it still feels hard, sometimes what I like to do, I don't do this so much anymore, but writing it out. Like, you could send your partner a text and be like, "Hey, I really wanna talk about our schedule. Could we do that over a glass of wine and a bonfire tonight?" Or not a bonfire, but like a solo stove fire. We have a solo stove. I don't know why I'm calling it bonfire, but like, kinda like set the stage and just be like, "Hey, can we have like an intentional conversation?" And I will tell you that my clients are doing this all the time now, and their partners are meeting them with so much support. And some of my clients are really surprised, and some of them aren't, but a lot of them are like, "Oh my god, he was like desperate for, like, me to ask him for help, for me to start this conversation because he didn't know how, or he's been wanting to support me." So, I would just also hold the belief that he or she or them want to be there for you. You know, if you're in a marriage, it's like, don't get me started on this whole rabbit hole, but anyways, I'm thinking about starting this program called the Post-Nup because I don't think we're taught how to be married. We're not taught how to be in a relationship. And so this can be such a beautiful gift, actually. This is why I love eating for emotional reasons because it gives us a window into so many upgrades. It asks us to have these big conversations and to level up our marriages, our relationships, our lives, our parenting, all of it.
Mhm. Yeah. And I think you being able to voice that to your partner is the first step of you honoring your boundaries with yourself and starting to trust yourself and starting to put yourself first, which then leads to, those moments when you're like, I'm not really hungry right now. It's like, no, I am someone who is there for myself. I am someone who speaks up for myself. And I think that can translate directly into your eating skills and your ability to set boundaries around the things that you
Mm.
don't want to eat.
Yeah, that's so well said. Yeah, that's exactly right.
So, talk to us if someone has kids and they're like, I don't want to pass these habits down to them. How can they model a healthy relationship with food in their body to their kids?
Yeah, it's so good. So I get this question all the time. The short answer is heal your relationship with your body and food, and it will just naturally happen. People are always like, "Can you teach a workshop on how to teach my kids how to have a healthy relationship with food?" And I'm like, "Yeah, the workshop is you. The workshop is us healing your relationship with food." Think about anything that you feel really convicted in. Maybe it's your relationship with spirituality. Maybe it's your religion. Maybe it's the way you think about marriage. Maybe it's your career. Maybe it's how you get somewhere in life. Maybe it's the way that you went through school. There might be something in your life you feel really convicted or you have strong beliefs about or around. You're not worried about how you're passing that down to your children, right? I'm really this is a tangent too, but this is my summer of spirituality, my summer of spirit, and I'm just really developing my relationship with spirituality. And I have been asking questions over the past several years of like, God, how do I help my kids have a practice with spirit or their soul, right? Like I'm not super convicted with my spirituality right now. So I feel a little wonky. Give me a couple years and because I'm so focused on it and I feel like I'll naturally be passing it down to my children. I have really strong beliefs about marriage and what I think makes a good relationship. I'm not or worried or nervous or anxious about sitting down my beliefs and values around marriage. I know I'm going to naturally do that because I'm just living it. So that's really the answer is work on yourself, focus on yourself. I still am going to answer the question, but that is 90% of the answer. The 10% of the answer is okay, so it's like kind of different things. So relationship with food. Like I think my job is to just help nurture and foster and facilitate their relationship with food. So I like to just ask them open-ended questions like, how does it feel after having like those giant waffles? Like, how do you feel in your body? Or if I'm noticing that it does look like they're eating like a lot, obviously that's subjective. I will ask them to check in with their bodies. How does it feel in your body? What do you think? And then just educating, like really super neutral. Like my daughter right now, she's super into swim. It's so cute. She's like doing swim team and she's like so into it. And she's so hungry. So just educating her around like, you're so hungry because you just expended so much energy. You need some good, clean energy. What might some ideas be? And then I could like bring it back to me. For me, when I'm working out really hard, I love to eat like a healthy amount of like protein and fat and carbs, and then just teaching her what those things are. And so just giving some education around it and then like keeping it super neutral. Super, super neutral, not making meaning, not labeling. This is good, this is bad. It's just, does it serve you in your body? Is it working for you in your body? It's like anything else that we need in life, like sleep. Like, it's the same way I might interact with my daughter or my son about sleep. Like, oh, it's feeling a little hard for you to regulate or to not get frustrated. I think that's my bad because I put you to bed so late last night. Notice how it feels. Maybe we can go lay down and do a meditation. I think the sleep analogy is really good because it's more neutral for us as moms than food. Food gets it's so loaded. A lot of parents don't feel like it's appropriate to put restrictions around food for their children. Like there is a whole school of thought of like my kids should be able to eat whatever they want whenever they want. Like the pantry should be free range. I can have whatever I want in the pantry. Because my kids don't have developed prefrontal cortexes, I believe it is my job to put in some healthy restrictions around food, especially processed, like ultra processed foods. And so we do have rules around it. And I have also rules around sleep for my kids, right? Like they have to go to bed at some point. And if they're having a harder day because maybe I didn't put them down or I let them stay up late for the fireworks or whatever the thing is, I'm gonna put in a boundary around we're having a meditation moment today. Like we're all laying down for an hour or whatever it is. So I do believe in healthy restriction with parenting because my kids, especially my son, cannot regulate. If you let him, he will eat all of the Sour Patch Kids and move on to the ice cream and move on to the soda and move on. And I feel like it's a bit of a disservice to him because if I let him have all that sugar, he can't regulate. And it's actually a bit heartbreaking to watch him not be able to take care of himself in ways that he normally would be able to take care of himself, if that makes sense.
Right. And I love that the
So
sleep analogy you gave because there's so many things where we do put boundaries on it. Or I'm thinking of like when you take your kids out to Target and they're like, I want this, I want this. We're not like, oh my gosh, I'm being restrictive because I'm not letting them have all the things. It's like, no, they're not going to have a treat and a toy every time they go to Target. It's like maybe sometimes,
exactly.
but
Yes.
it's a loving boundary for them. And that all goes back to us, right? When we are practicing putting loving boundaries on ourselves and not letting our brain to tell us, oh, this is being restrictive, we're being too much. It's like, no, this is a loving boundary because I already had 3 cookies today. Like, I'm not restricting by
Exactly.
saying no to the 4th one. This is what's going to feel good to my body. And it's okay to have food pleasure and permission. We're not going to tell our kids, you're never going to have sugar ever again. Just like we should be
Yeah,
telling that to ourselves, but it is a
exactly.
balance of finding that middle ground of telling ourselves the loving, controlling decision for us.
Yeah, exactly. And my kids do ask because I know a lot of clients in your audience probably, if they do decide to say no thank you to a cupcake and they're with their kids, they get worried like, oh my God, am I going to give my kid an eating disorder because I'm not having the cupcake?
Mhm.
And my answer is no, but I like to bring some context to it. So my kids don't typically ask me because they're like used to the way that I eat. But my son did ask me, oh, you brought it up because I put it on my Instagram. So yeah, my son was asking me, what did he say? I can't even remember. I think he was like, Mommy, why do you never have dessert or something like
Yeah,
that?
why don't you have treats so much or something as much
Oh
as we
yeah.
do?
Yeah. How come you don't have as many treats as me or whatever? And actually answer that question for yourself. I do have treats with them oftentimes too. But the real reason is because for the most part, processed sugar doesn't feel good in my body. It's like borderline an allergy. Okay. Like it's not actually an allergy, but like, why don't I have cashews? because I get sick when I eat cashews. It's like, why don't I have sugar? Because I get sick when I eat sugar and I don't feel like myself. I don't have the energy that I want. I can't be the mom that I want to be. Like, I just don't feel that good. And
Mhm.
so explaining that to my kiddos is, I think, appropriate. Like, sugar just doesn't sit that well with me.
Mhm.
Like, you guys get to decide, at some point what's going to work for you. But for me, it doesn't feel good in my body. And that's like it. It's not like I'm not having sugar because I want to fit in my like size whatever jeans, or like because I want to be skinny so that I can earn my value and worth as a human. It's like, no, for most of us, there's actually really healthy reasons as to why we're doing what we're doing and what we're not doing. And
Yeah.
I think if we take all that meaning out of it and we really get back to our truth and our whys, it makes so much sense.
Right, and I think that goes back to the beliefs that we hold that they'll kind of seep out into the way we want them to. So if we have this belief that we strongly believe, like, I just choose not to have a lot of sugar because it doesn't feel good in my body, we're going to feel really empowered and we're going to show up, in a way that's empowering, teaching our
Mm,
kids about it versus for like, oh no, sugar's bad. Like, we got to restrict it,
exactly.
we got to control it at all times. Then we're going to show up feeling really out of control and then we're going to pass those beliefs down. So we
Yeah.
can see how our beliefs lead to our feelings and our actions, and that will show up in how we act around our kids. And so again, going back to you do the work on you first, and it will naturally bleed
Yeah.
out to everything you do around your kids in your family and be passed down to them
Yeah.
in the way that you want it to, as long as you're
Yeah.
in line with how you want to be first.
Yeah, that's exactly right. For relationship with our bodies, this is at play a little bit more with my daughter, but it's the same kind of concept. Like, I'm just going to pass down, like, she's going to see how I am in my body. And most likely, some of that is going to get passed down to her. And so, what are the thoughts I think about my body? Like, now they naturally happen, but I got really conscious about them and pre programmed my brain, and so I love my body. I believe that she will love her body. She came, my son too, they came loving their bodies.
Mhm.
Like, all I have to do is help them preserve that, right?
Yeah.
And I think it goes back to asking questions. Like, instead of focusing on how they look all the time, it's like, how do you feel in your body? How does that dress feel on you? How do those shorts feel on you? Like, how do you feel? I like to get a little cheesy with it. I like to have them look at themselves in the mirror, like, if it's natural and it's part of our day, and just be like, I am strong. I am confident,
Mhm.
because I do think it's helpful to bolster what the cultural conditioning will inevitably give them. So I'm, conscientious about the books that we bring in, and, just the impressions that they get, because there's going to be so much of it. So it's like, can I bolster it or counter it at home? So just little things here and there, and
Mhm.
asking them, well, how do you feel in your body? Taking the focus off how they look towards like how they feel. I don't know if I'm articulating that well enough, but
No, absolutely, like, how they feel in clothing, right? That has really nothing to do how their body is, but more how the clothing fits them and how their personal
yeah,
style preferences are for the day. And I
yeah.
always love remembering that this is body hate is a cultural thing that we learn, it's not something we're born with, because you'll see toddlers all the time, they'll be, like, pushing out their bellies, being like, "Oh my god, who has the biggest belly?" And they'll think it's so funny and, like, hilarious to have a competition because they haven't learned the narrative that, "Oh, like, a big belly is bad." And so it's
Yeah.
really good to know that because that means if it's something that we've learned, it can be something that is unlearned fairly easy, and of
Mm,
course, we do have to fight the beliefs that are constantly being thrown at us, but just knowing that we have a choice in whether or not we wanna believe those things, and society gives us a lot of effed up beliefs in a lot of different areas that we've decided we don't want to believe, and so this can be
mhm.
just one other area around being a mom, around what we need to think about our body that we can also change our beliefs around. And going back to, how our beliefs trickle down, like, I'm imagining, when moms are at the pool and they're, like, doing the little cover up at tuck in, trying to make sure nothing shows. It's like your kids will see
Yeah,
that and they're learning this inherent belief of, "Ooh, bodies need to be covered up when I'm older," or, like, as I grow, like, maybe I need to cover up my body. So it's
yeah,
these little teeny moments that make all the difference. So if you start working on your beliefs and it's like, "No, I don't need to hide my body. My body is lovable and worthy just as it is right now." Again, then you're not gonna be doing those weird little tucks and the hiding and the, "Oh my gosh, my belly's
yeah,
showing," you'll be able to show up differently, and then those beliefs will be passed down to them.
yeah. That's exactly right.
So,
So
Laura,
good.
any last thoughts or where people can find you?
The only last thought that I purposely tried not to go on like 17 tangents, but just this idea, this can really come up in motherhood of people pleasing eating.
Mm.
So I don't know if you ever talk about it, but I'm sure you do. But this idea where even though we don't want to eat the thing because we're afraid of what someone else will think, or, someone brings us a special treat that's just for us, but we genuinely don't want it and we eat it just so someone else doesn't judge us, or everyone's ordering appetizers, so we feel like we have to, even though, again, it might not feel good in our bodies or whatever the example may be. And I think that can come up in motherhood and just womanhood, right? It's so fun to actually like watch my husband because he's like on this health journey right now. He's healing his skin through healing his gut. And he's saying no to a lot of things right now. And he just, like, doesn't give an F. Like, he just does not care, like, what other people think. He rarely gives an explanation, which is so interesting. It's so fun for me to watch.
Yeah.
And that is available to you too. And you can practice stopping the people-pleasing eating if you do it in safe environments and then get stronger and stronger and stronger. And just, like, prove to yourself that, yes, there are the food pushers here and there, but for the most part, people don't care, especially if you don't care and, like, you're wise and you have your own back. It's like people do not give a flying F what you are eating or not eating. They really don't, especially when you're not hyper focused on it. Yeah. So anyways, I just wanted to call that out because I think for a lot of women, like I always say, like, I think I was carrying around like 10 pounds of people pleasing eating pounds because didn't want people to judge me. And so, anyways, I just always like to call that out when we're talking about this because it can be a really cool way to heal your relationship with yourself. And like you were saying earlier, just like set those boundaries and build that self trust. So
Mhm.
I love that. So that was the only other thing I was going to say.
Yeah.
And this has been so fun. I love chatting with you.
Yeah. One thing I'll mention about that too, the other day I had some neighbor kids bring me like this cute little cupcake that they baked and decorated, and it was like sea themed. It was so cute. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is adorable." I was like, "Thank you." But I didn't really want the cupcake, and honestly, I'm like, I'm sure this is just like store-bought cupcake ingredients. Who knows? They're not washing their
Their
hands before
nasty
going
fingers
through
are
it.
all in the frosting. Yeah.
Yeah, so I just, like, put it in a little container, and I was like, "You know what? If I want this later, maybe I'll have it," and 3 days later, I didn't
I
want it,
love
so I
it.
just threw it away. So I think that's
Yeah.
always a good strategy too, is, like, if your kids make you something, if there's something that someone is, like, really pushing on you, which I think if they are, they're probably having their own food stuff going on internally,
Agree.
if they're
Yeah.
those type of people. But it's like, "Okay, I'm in shoes, maybe I'll bring it home, and maybe if I do want it later, I'll have it, but if not, like, no one will know if you throw it away." And it's like, no big
Yeah.
deal.
Yeah, and, like, you can appreciate and enjoy someone else's efforts without eating it. Like, you
So
really
true.
genuinely can. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I feel like it's just a cool conversation to have with yourself or explore.
And if people want to find you, know more about you, work with you, where can they go?
Yeah. So you guys obviously are podcast listeners. So you can come listen to Amber on my podcast, which is Lose Weight for the Last Time with Laura Conley. You can find me at lauraconley.com. My name is LauraConley. Oh, I brought you guys a free gift too. So typically we charge $37 for this. But if you are interested in my methodology, you can check that out and get a little taste, no pun intended, at plan.lauraconley.com. That's where you can get your free weight loss plan using our methodology. And if you're an Instagram person, I'm at Laura Conley Coaching on the gram.
Amazing. Well, so good having you on today, Laura. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll talk to everyone later.